Hi guys, so I just wanted to get on here and kind of share some things that we are going through personally. My husband's not here right now and he might be in some of the videos or the video later, depending on how much we do or if he's even really wanting to do any of it. It might just be me, who knows, we'll see. But we are starting a process because we have been trying, I wouldn't say trying to get pregnant because we've had pregnancies, but we've struggled with keeping our pregnancies. And so we're starting the IVF process. Today was our baseline ultrasound, but I kind of wanted to get on and just express a little bit of my emotions and feelings because I think it would have helped me during the process and I think it might help somebody else. So just to give you a little bit of background, my name is Shania. My husband is Chris, who's not here, obviously, but we've been married almost 5 years and we've lived in Colorado and Utah mainly, but we've also traveled around. See all my pictures in my house? That's kind of our thing. Like, we really love traveling. And then we also do real estate. So we've been very fortunate in our endeavors through our business to be able to travel around the world. And throughout it, we kind of we're very faith-believing people. We're actually from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And we thought, we're going to just put it in God's hands. Like, the first pregnancy was within the first 8 months of our marriage. And we thought, we didn't think anything of it. We didn't think the outcome would happen that happened. And that was probably one of our harder miscarriages that we had, just because it was the first one. We were so excited. We just found out, and then within a couple weeks, boom, it's not even a thing anymore. And it was hard emotionally for both of us. I would say our faith was rocked a lot during that time period, but we stayed strong. We stayed kind of in the mentality of it's gonna work out. We both felt that. And so our second one, I didn't even know that I was pregnant, but there's something that I only have when I do get pregnant, it's spotty. And I was like, what the frick is going on? I just had my period. Sorry guys, I'm really open to and really don't hold back. So I'm sorry for oh my gosh, TMI, but that's just how I am. But anyways, so we had no idea. And then I had to go in and get my HCG levels tested because I was like, well, let me just rule out pregnancy because I don't even think it's a thing, but I'm going to rule it out. And when I took the pregnancy test and found that I was pregnant with that one, I was like, okay, here we go. So that was our second miscarriage, which our HCG levels slowly declined over 2 weeks and was another kind of sad thing. And then our third was during a time period we're both super fit. We like to do Whole30 probably about twice a year. And I will say this, every time I do Whole30, you guys, I get pregnant. So if you're struggling with fertility, change your diet, see what's going on, reset your body. I love doing Whole30, and I'm not even kidding you, every single time we've done it, I get pregnant right afterwards. But anyways, that's just my side note. So our third one, I coached competitive volleyball and I had taken on 2 travel teams. I was kind of freaking out when I found out that I was pregnant because I had already committed to this and it was just this whole big thing. And then, I kept testing because I didn't I just kind of knew, you just know your body and you know when it's not going to be successful. So I just kept testing, and then it came to the conclusion yet again that it wasn't going to work out, that I wasn't pregnant. Eventually I showed up that I wasn't pregnant. And so that was really early too. And then my fourth one, yes, we've had 4, was last July in 2018. And like I told you, I coached competitive volleyball. We were at nationals during that time period. One of my teams had gone to Florida for AAUs and the other team had gone to Detroit. So I was gone for 2 weeks, a total of 2 weeks from home. And I had no clue what was going on. I was just dead tired. But when you coach 3-4 day long volleyball tournaments, you get tired. So I just thought I'm just tired because I've been going back and back and back and back, back to back. And then I had the spotting thing again, and I was like, what the frick is going on? And so then I was like, let's just rule out a pregnancy. I'm in Detroit. We go and get a pregnancy test, and I find out that I'm pregnant, and I'm pregnant on our wedding anniversary. Like, I feel like it's my husband and I's wedding anniversary. It's also my dad's death anniversary. And I felt, sorry, I'm really trying not to get emotional, but I felt like it was just going to work out. Because it was such a special date for us. It was a time, like, I chose that wedding anniversary date for my husband and I because I wanted to take one of the darkest moments in my life of losing my dad and turn it into a happy moment. And I felt like this was my dad saying, hey, I'm gonna give you that special spirit to come down and like, and be with you because I'm still with you. So it was kind of like this, like, I really felt that in my heart. Ooh, I'm trying not to get emotional, but this is what it does, you guys. It really is. Like, I mean, if you're struggling with it, I'm so sorry. Like, I've had so many battles struggling with this, but anyways, there's a light at the tunnel, I hope. And so, we didn't think anything of it. I came home, and my grandma, I had received notice in Florida, which was a week prior, that my grandma wasn't doing too good, and I'm really, really close with my grandma. And I had heard that she wasn't doing good. So my husband and I literally landed in Utah, and then we drove to Colorado the next day because my grandma was pretty much on her deathbed. And so I was out there that whole week, totally, you know, still testing, because that's just what I did. That was my safety net. I'm going to test. So I test like every 2 days. And I had lost my grandma the end of that week. Which was really hard because it was, and not that it was unexpected, she was older, but it was just like the timing and frame, and obviously I'm already hormonal because I got all these pregnancy hormones going on, and then also just having that in the back of my head that something's up, something could be wrong, something is not right because I'm still spotting, or what's going on, you know, like, unfortunately when you've had a miscarriage or you've had a loss, you have that underlying feeling in the back of your head always. Like, it's just there. It doesn't go away, unfortunately. Even my husband, like, he's a little bit more introvert. He doesn't like express things as much, and you know, I don't want to say you have that doubt, but it's just always back there in your subconscious. So I lost my grandma super hard. You know, I'm already dealing with all these hormones with the new pregnancy and everything like that, and I get back home. Now, prior to this, like 4 weeks prior to this, I had gone to the emergency room because I had passed out, and I had something happening with my left shoulder, and I felt like I was having a stroke. Like, it was the craziest thing. We're walking up our stairwell, coming to our house, and I couldn't even, like, it was like paralysis. I felt like I couldn't speak. My husband was like, what's going on with you? I had like pretty much passed out. We had just got done eating, and I thought I had a mini stroke, and my mom's like, yeah, mini stroke, you gotta go to the ER. If you know my mom, that's just, my mom is kind of like, love her to death, but that's just, she's kind of like, you don't know what's going on. So then I was like, okay. So we went to the ER, you guys, and they said I had inflammation in my shoulder and I was dehydrated. Okay, I was pissed because, well, later on I was mad. I was like, all right. And I don't like going to the doctor. I have a high tolerance for pain, and I just don't like the doctor. But when I went in and they're like, oh yeah, you have inflammation of your shoulder. And I'm left-handed, so I was like, okay, maybe because I'm serving or I'm hitting at my girls all the time, this is what it's caused from, and I'm dehydrated because I'm at the gym all the time. So sure, okay, that's what I have. So that was 4 weeks, like right before we went to nationals, that had happened. But what really had happened is I get home, I go to the doctor, I tell them, and like, they weren't going to see me till August, like the middle of August. And this is like kind of the beginning of July, like July 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th time. And I'm like, I've had 3 miscarriages. Something's not going on. You guys need to see me. Like, I kind of was like very insistent when we were driving back from Colorado. So luckily a nurse got on and she was like, okay, yeah, you are high risk. Let's get you in. Let's have an ultrasound, see what's going on. So I go into the ultrasound, and they are checking out everything, and they're doing all this stuff, whatever. And they're going into my, they're doing I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't know the external, like the real terms, but the outside, they're doing like, you know, the ultrasound, and she's like, I'm not seeing anything. Are you sure you're pregnant? And I'm like, I'm pregnant, lady. I've been throwing up. My boobs hurt. Like, I'm pregnant. I know something's going up. And so then they're like, well, maybe it's like this, I think they called it a pseudo pregnancy, where my body thinks it's pregnant, but it's not really pregnant. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, this is more stuff I get to deal with. And so she's like, okay, well, let's have you take a pregnancy test. So I took a urine pregnancy test. I said, well, yeah, you are pregnant. So she's like, we're going to do a vaginal ultrasound. And I'm like, okay. So we get in and my husband's with me. We're both in there and she's looking around and she's not seeing any little cute little, you know, embryo or anything like that. And I'm probably, I think I was like 8 weeks. So, you know, they definitely 7 or 8 weeks. And they, like something, I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I was pretty far along where they should be seeing something, you know, like 8, I think it was 8 weeks, 9 weeks. I have no clue. I don't know. I'm sorry. Don't quote me, but it was for far along that they should see something in the uterus. So she goes in and she looks around. My right ovary doesn't see anything, you know, like my right tube doesn't see anything because there's nothing in the uterus. And then she goes over to my left and she doesn't say anything. She's not talking and anything like that. And then she turns on the sonogram. And she turns on the sonogram and you hear, those of you that have been pregnant before and those of you that have heard the heartbeat for the first time, she hears that heartbeat. And she grabs my knee and she sits there and she says, and I already knew. I told her it's ectopic. And she's like, yeah, we've got to get you to the ER. We've got to, get this taken care of, you know, like, and so like, it was so quick. It was so fast. Looking back now, like trying to see a silver lining in it, one of the probably best things that could have happened was hearing a heartbeat. I'm very pro-life. I'm very pro-life. Don't get me started on the political side of things, but when people sit there and think that it doesn't exist or that you haven't created a human spirit in there that's someone, to know that heartbeat and to hear that heartbeat and the fight that they had in their life when in a place that they couldn't survive, because to explain an ectopic pregnancy, you guys, the baby was in my left fallopian tube, which you cannot keep. There's nothing you can do. You have to remove it if it's gone far long enough, which it had gotten far long enough. It's very rare. There's only like 10% that you can hear a heartbeat. Usually ectopic pregnancies can just, you know, get rid of themselves basically, or you can take medication, hence the ER visit. What they should have did, because one of the first signs of the ectopic pregnancy is like sharp stabbing pain, numbness in the side. So if you guys ever feel that, please go to the doctor and be insistent, make them test, because I should have did that and I could probably still have my left fallopian tube. But we drove down to the hospital because we had to go to a different hospital, and it was one of the quietest car rides my husband and I have ever been in. We've had a lot of quiet car rides with when we have these issues, mainly, like I said, the first one and this one was probably one of the hardest ones, and it was one of the quietest car rides I've been in when I just cried. I'm sorry. But something that like we had prayed for and we had wanted so bad. And I could hear her heartbeat. Like, I had no choice in this situation that I couldn't save it. Like, we couldn't move it. We couldn't, like, I asked everything, like, can we just do that? But I knew we couldn't, because it came down to the point where if it ruptured, it could kill me. And so we had to have a surgery and have my left fallopian tube removed. So I'm gonna show you the pictures. Sorry, this is a little, this is my body and there are pictures, but so this right here is some of the pictures. I don't know how well you can see that, but like over here is the little baby, okay? And right here, I'll show you, this is a more, right there. Okay, so the baby's right there. That's the fallopian tube. This other picture, okay, if you see that, hopefully I can do a better job. The fallopian tube is only supposed to be like that small. See that, you guys, right there? Like the size of this pen, basically. And because the baby was created in there, it's this big. Like, look at that. So, I had to have it removed. I had to go into surgery. And I woke up from surgery knowing it was gone. Like I said, you just know, your body tells you, and it was really hard. And so we had to now take this on. Like, not only did you have an ectopic pregnancy, but now you only have one fallopian tube. Here we go. Like, how do we figure this out? The doctor's like, oh yeah, you can still get pregnant naturally, but you can't try for a couple months because you can have another ectopic on your other side. You have higher chances. Like, just all these things and all these other factors that we had to play into it. And I was just like, oh my goodness. Okay. And so I suffer from PTSD, anxiety, and depression. I'm gonna be completely open and honest. I don't care. People, I think it's good people know. I think people need to know. And I am in pretty good control of it. I try to well, for those of you that don't know what PTSD is post-traumatic stress syndrome, which is a disorder, or like I said, I'm not a doctor, I don't know the correct terms, but basically I had traumatic events happen to me as a child that have caused me to handle certain situations. And so like PTSD can be really, really strong in certain things. Like, I was in a bank robbery because I worked in a bank and had a gun to my face. So it, like, boom, triggered my PTSD. And this, now looking back, I know it triggered my PTSD because I was in a dark place for like 3 or 4 months. And I chose not to take medication because I wasn't aware that there's medication out there that you can be on while being pregnant and like breastfeeding and all that stuff. Like, so here I am for 5 years trying to deal with like my mental illness and not doing anything with medication because I felt like I wanted a safe environment and I didn't want to harm our future child. And so like every time we'd have a miscarriage, every time we'd have an ectopic pregnancy, every time my period came, because we were trying, it was like, it was just this emotional roller coaster, which it's already an emotional roller coaster, but adding like my mental illness on top of it was like, oh my gosh, like I just would get super depressed. What's my purpose? Why am I here? Like, I want to be a mom. Like, why isn't this happening for me? So it was just like just nuts. Okay. And luckily I found out that I can be on medication. There's certain medications. So you guys, if you have that issue, there are things out there that you can take to help your body. So you can have the safest, best environment for your child, for yourself. And so you're not like fighting it. Cause I did pretty well. And like my husband, if he were here, he'd be like, yeah, she did pretty good. Cause I like would do things that would motivate me. Like, I'm kind of one of those that's like, bring it on. Like, you tell me I have this, that's okay. I'm going to overcome it. And so I feel like I had a good handle on it, but now that I've been on medication, it's like night and day, like total night and day, where I don't feel like I'm having to have the constant battle in the morning. So that's a whole nother video that we could do. Like, if you guys want me to do a mental illness video, I can, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about fertility. But if that is something that's in your mind with fertility, like, I truly believe that God wants you to be in the best physical and mental state. And so if that's part of it, get it taken care of. You can do it. Like, if you're scared, if you need someone to talk to, reach out to me. I will talk to you about it and tell you my feelings about it. But back to where I am now. So that was like a whole like August to like October period that I was going. So like 3 months right after my ectopic pregnancy and surgery and thing. Like, I had like kind of that dark period, and I was still coaching volleyball. but it was rough. I was in a rough mental state. And I'm sure people that go through ectopic pregnancies, whether they have PTSD and anxiety and depression, I'm sure they still have rough states that they go through too. Because it's hard. It's hard. Like, it's knowing that you couldn't control it. Okay. And then on the other side note, like, I was so mad at the ER for not checking. Like, I was so mad, because if they would have checked, you guys, and that's what I'm saying, if you have any symptoms or any signs of an ectopic pregnancy, please just be insistent. Like, can you just do a pregnancy test? Can you check my blood work, please? It takes them 2 seconds, because then I would have just had to take medication that would have helped the embryo get gone naturally, and I'd still have my left fallopian tube. So be insistent. It's your body. Nobody's going to take better care of it than you. So don't, you like the side tangents I get on? I'm sorry. But I just, like, my husband and I, we decided to get to the whole point of all of this. We went on a trip to South America. I lived in Chile for 1.5 years for my church. We went on a mission there. So we went back, we traveled around, we had like this big, huge hurrah. We were down there for a month. It was great. And I'm feeling good. I'm in the sun because it's freezing cold in Utah right now, but it's hot down there because it's the summer. So I'm getting my tan, I'm doing it all, like, and just having a good time. And my husband and I kind of have those chats of like, okay, what's our next step? When you've had an ectopic pregnancy, they highly suggest, what I've read, that you do IVF. Just because if there's, you know, issues in the tubes, you only got one tube, you don't want to ruin that tube. So that's kind of the next step. So I had scheduled an appointment with our doctor prior to us leaving, because my doctor is in such high demand, you guys. 3 months I had to wait for a consultation. So we get back in January, we go in, we have our consultation, he talks to us, he tells us everything. And I don't know if I was just like a zombie in there and just like, luckily my husband remembered everything, because I don't remember a lot of it. It was like everything flew over my head, because I was like, did he talk to us about that? Did he talk to us about that? And my husband's like, yeah. And so I don't know if I was just like nervous or scared, or I don't know. I think every time you go in to find out what your fertility issues are, there's always like that, like, what's wrong with me, you know? And so we went in, and he had suggested that we just, you know, that we could start off with IVF, because we could do an IUI. What an IUI is, artificial insemination. So they can go in, they implant the semen, and then it still has to travel down the tube. And it's like 20% chances. This is all what I'm told. Don't fact check me, I don't know. But 20% chance of it still, you know, going down. And he's like, you know, you can see if your right tube is still okay and if it works, but if it doesn't, you know, you're going to have to jump to IVF anyways. It could be extra money, blah, 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 like all these things. And so, and my husband goes, well, when can we start? And he's like, you can start right away. My husband's like, okay, we're doing it. Do you guys know Chris? He's not like, it's very rare that he's very assertive and like, yep, we're doing it. Like, it's usually me where it's like, he's so nice. He's such a sweetheart where he's like, it's up to you, hon. You can choose. You know, and I'm a strong personality. And he's like, okay, hon, if you want. But he was like, yep, we're doing it. And so for me, I was kind of like, who is this person? Like, okay, like, you say we're doing it, we're doing it. I'll follow you, hon. So we did our ultrasound. It was perfect. I had already been ovulating. Like, I mean, it was like boom, 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 boom. Like, I couldn't believe how fast everything was happening, because Shanae is a planner, and in Shanae's mind, in Shanae's control of things, she was going to start in like May, and then we were going to do this, and we were going to travel to Thailand, and we were going to go here, and we were going to do this. And obviously Shanae's things, if she would revert back to what she said at the beginning of the video, which was in the Lord's time, which totally is in his time, it's just crazy. It's just like happening so fast. So here today, present, where we are, that just gave you a background of kind of where we were, what our fertility struggles were where we started, and kind of where we're going, hopefully. So I started my baseline ultrasound. I started taking Lupron. Let me show you this. Don't mind me. I'm in my sweats. I don't even care. I love to be in my sweats at home. Maybe you can see it. So I take, let me show you. See the bruising right there? Yeah, not so fun, huh? I take Lupron. I've been taking Lupron because we started so quick. I didn't have to do the whole, what's it called? Birth control. So I'm on Leuprolide, and I've been taking that for the last 2 weeks. Shot myself. I've been getting bruised. And the only things I don't love about it is like, I feel like I wake in like the first like 3 days. You guys I got on the scale and I was like, I gained like 10 pounds, and I was like calling my husband, crying. I'm like, this is because I'm not doing this. It's because I'm not coaching. It's because I'm not in the gym. I'm not working out. I need to work out. Like, I felt so guilty because I'm like, what the frick? I just gained 10 pounds. But that's what it can do. So don't get scared, you guys. You can, like, I guess anywhere from 3 to 20 pounds. Just be aware. Remember, if it brings you a sweet little bundle of joy, it's all worth it. That's how I look at it. It's all worth it. I do care if I get fat, but if it happens, so be it. It's worth it. It's bringing me a bundle of joy. It's what I want. It's worth it. All these things. So we started with that. I will talk to you more as we go throughout the process. If you want to, you can subscribe, or you can follow us and follow our journey, because I mean, it's just exciting. Really, I'm only posting this just for those that if you're doubting, or if you're going through this yourself, any of this, like whether it's fertility issues, mental illness, or just like that, what's wrong with me, like doubts, don't. Girl, don't. Okay? You are beautiful, you're strong, and it's gonna work out. It's gonna work out in His time, and it's just gonna be beautiful. Like, I'm not saying that this is gonna work out for us the first time, but I'm pretty dang optimistic that it will, and I feel very confident in it, and I hope so. But if not, I'm just gonna keep trying and keep trying. That's what life is. You just keep getting back up and you keep trying. So please don't hesitate to reach out if you do have questions into anything that I mentioned in this video, which was a lot of information. So if you lasted it, good job to you guys. But until next time, thanks for tuning in.